Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Linda Nadian, and I am a director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I am here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will uplift, inspire, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to the alumni of Nassau Community College, interested in sharing their experiences while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages and share any exciting news with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni, where you can join the Alumni Association as a lifetime member. Or find me on X at Dr. Linda Nadian. The lion is the mascot for Nassau Community College. The lion is associated with balancing power, intention, physical strength, and grace. Our alum possess these same characteristics and symbolize courage, nobility, and valor. All of our alum contribute to the beauty of our college society. Together, we are Lion Tales. Today, I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Kyle MacKay, class of 2019. Kyle graduated from Nassau Community College in 2019 with an Associate's in Business Administration. Since graduation, Kyle works in finance for Bank of America and now Charles Schwab as a licensed stockbroker. Kyle enjoys spending time with his family and rooting for the New York Yankees, as baseball is still his passion and favorite pastime. Nassau Community College provided Kyle with the venue to his current work and his passions in life. Welcome to Lion Tales, Kyle MacKay, class of 2019.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here, back on WHPC and over the airwaves of Nassau County.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us about your decision way back when to attend Nassau Community College.
Yeah, I thought about this a lot. Really, I was the type of student in high school that really kind of didn't like school. And so kind of took a year off and realized, you know what, I'm going to need a college education, but I don't know where to start or what I'm really into yet. So at 18, 19 years old, Nassau Community College being local really kind of helped me out and figure out, like you said right in the beginning, kind of the direction I wanted to go in. So it really kind of helps you with that.
Yeah, a lot of the alum and people that we've interviewed, it's always sort of the same thing, that no one was completely 100% sure of the path. Like, everyone has these really amazing talents and interests and hobbies, but they weren't sure. And then when they got to Nassau, everything sort of kind of evolved for them. And what courses inspired you, once you did get to the campus?
Well, I always enjoyed business, so when I wanted to choose a major, I went for business administration. At that time, still didn't know, was I going into marketing, was I going into kind of leadership, did I want to go into finance, which is where I ended up. But some of the courses definitely helped me get there. Business law, as well as my micro and macroeconomics, who I had the same professor for, both really kind of led me to, finance is really interesting. Not just black and white, it's not just numbers the way accounting is. So really kind of just taking all of it in, really kind of seeing the micro and the macro in economics was something that really kind of took hold and grew from there. So really kind of helped me grow as an individual into what I am today.
Yeah, and so who were some of the professors that inspired you? Do you remember them? We have some people we forget.
It was weird. I think I found it. I was trying to look through actually like old class books and stuff like that I still had even through moves around the country. But I think it was Demiso. Might have been one. She was great. She did both, like I said, the micro and macro economics class. First day of microeconomics, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a tough class. And she really made it sound very fun and made it very interesting. And right off the bat said, hey, I do the macro class too. So if you have fun and you like this, how I teach it,
oh, that's
definitely
great.
sign up for the macro class. And I think maybe like towards the middle of the semester, I couldn't wait for the next semester to open up for scheduling classes because I was like, I have to get in her class before it fills up.
Yeah, once you hear about the professors that, sort of make it work. What was the core of the business department here? What do you think the premise was for business majors? What did they want out of you?
Honestly, out of me, it was not really like anything that I wasn't expecting. I knew it was going to be fundamentals, marketing, learning about accounting, fundamental stuff like that. So definitely all the stuff that I was like, if you want to be a manager, if you want to kind of grow into a leader, things that you're eventually going to use. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely challenge. There was definitely some challenging courses in there. Computers, I'm definitely not a tech savvy person.
Yeah.
And so the business computing and Excel was definitely a strenuous one for me. But yeah, I mean, most of it was a lot of fun. Marketing was fun. Business law, like I said, that was really fun, even though it was just a lot of going over law, is really kind of just getting into how people look at it on the business side with law. It was actually kind of intriguing.
And if you had to describe macro or, micro and macroeconomics, how would you explain that to like a person who doesn't have so much familiarity with it?
Yeah, so I mean, economics as a whole is just everything. It goes around in the world, revolves around money in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Micro does the little things and how stuff might impact places like Nassau County on a smaller level or you as an individual.
Right.
Macro is taking the entire country or the entire world into it, and how something can happen all the way on one other side of the world, it's going to affect us here and vice versa.
Yeah. When I was really young, I remember, younger, I was just starting my career and I was commuting with a woman into the city. We were school teachers and her husband kind of knew about stocks. And he said, oh, there's two stocks that you might want to pick up on, because you're young enough, you could invest. And he said one was Snapple and the other was Home Depot. And, of course, I didn't even really understand like what to do or how to do that. But, then as time went on, now it's like, I don't know, 30 years later. And obviously, those were probably good stock tips. Yeah.
I mean, it's thinking about, you even bring it back to like Forrest Gump. They make fun of Apple and stuff like that. I bought stock in an Apple company, and so I don't know what it has to do with anything, but whatever. I bought stock in it, and he's like a millionaire. So you never know when you're thinking about stocks. And like you said, you're like, it's just some iced tea company, and then look at it now, Snapple's everywhere you go.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan invested his money in the fruit company, and it turned out to be Apple.
Yep.
So what tips do you provide for individuals interested in stock options? Like how would someone approach that?
So, yeah, for me, the biggest thing is educate yourself. Definitely don't go in and just hear off a whim of somebody's doing something. There's a lot of scams out there nowadays, so you definitely want to be smart. And definitely read as much as you can. I wasn't a reader in high school, but since leaving high school and college, definitely became a reader. I'm definitely just want to educate myself in all facets of the world, whether it's economics, social, anything like that. I want to be educated as best I can in any kind of field.
Yeah, and I find too that, when I'm not sure of something, I'm always like looking it up and kind of researching right away. So, because we have kind of the Google at our fingertips, we're able to, find out immediately, about something or, people, or if there is any, thing with companies and all of those types of things. Because, again, like the more we know, the more, viable we can be in society and also, making decisions, especially when it comes to finance. Do you find that younger people are interested in stock options, when they get jobs, and, why is that important?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a push now in the world. A lot of people my age, I'm only 28, we look back on it and we're like, why were we not taught about balancing a checkbook and stuff like that in high school? And I feel like there's a much bigger push now for classes like that and electives like that in a high school setting or even in a college setting. And I think it's important. I think people, they come out of high school, they come out of college, and when they face the real world, even if you have a first job at 15 or 16, you're really kind of just having fun with your friends. But when you get into the real world after college, there's a lot that you don't know. There's a lot that you don't understand. And I think that it's important for schools to definitely try and educate everybody on that part of the real world that you're getting into.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus in the elementary schools now on financial literacy so that students understand about banking and, saving and, having a debit card for the first time, because things are so expensive. So even if a kid goes out and has McDonald's, it could be maybe like a $10 day for them. And then if you add that up and it's 5 days a week, it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, it becomes a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
So to learn like the value of the dollar early, I remember we had like student bank accounts like way back when, now they probably, they do encourage students to have bank accounts now, but the financial literacy piece is just so that there's like a wider variety of financial aspects that they can learn about so that they know that, saving is a good thing and, how to balance their budget so that they can actually, get to where they need to go.
Yeah, one of the best things I loved hearing when I worked for Bank of America, because that one was more opening accounts. You're sitting down with face-to-face with someone, and I loved hearing like a dad come in or a mom come in and say, hey, this is my 10-year-old son. I want to be able to, or a daughter, and be able to open an account for him. It's like, you know what? Yeah, it's not going to do anything business-wise. It's not really like growing anything, but you know what? That person, even at 10 years old, is going to learn a lot of valuable lessons. And you know what? We're their first kind of touch point into that world. So they're going to remember anything that they learned from us. So it definitely, even though you might not have gotten as far in a professional standing, on a personal standpoint, I definitely took it dear to my heart that someone was trusting me to educate their 10-year-old on like, hey, this is what money means.
Yeah. You were listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Linda Nadian, and our guest today is Kyle MacKay, class of 2019. Now, you also worked at WHPC, so tell us about that experience.
Yeah, talk about a great experience. I started Nassau Community College, and then about a year later, I lost my dad, actually, in an unfortunate timing of events in my life. And so I was still going to school, kind of just going through it, and I had a public speaking class, and Zach Turkel, I always remember the name because he's been around WHPC for a long time as well. He was talking about, we were just kind of introducing ourselves to the class. And he said that he loves public speaking. He loves being on the radio with the college radio station. And me not knowing anything about colleges, I didn't even know colleges had radio stations.
That's true. A lot of people don't
really
know that.
Cool. I was like, this sounds really awesome. So I asked him after class one day, I was like, hey, how do you get into it? How did you get into it? Stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, go online. You can fill out the application. They'll give you a call. And you come down, you start doing music on the NASA, I think it was like the mix or something.
Oh, the Nassau Morning Mix?
Yeah, something like that. And then when I got there, I told them I was interested in sports, and they have a sports show. And I was right into it. I started on the 28, the day after the 2018 Super Bowl, like that February. So right after the Super Bowl on that like Monday or Tuesday, I was talking about the Super Bowl and sports, and right away being on the air, it was like love at first sight. I still love radio. I would love to get back into it if that came to fruition and stuff like that. But right now I'm focused on my career as a finance expert.
Yeah, and so now your main pastime is really baseball and the Yankees. So tell us about the New York Yankees and how long have you been a fan and your dedication to them?
I was born in 1996 in June. Mm-hmm. So I was I was a newborn when the Yankees won their first World Series in quite a long time.
Yeah.
My dad always told me, he was like, yep, I was holding you watching the Yankees win in 96, 98, 99, 2000. Mm-hmm. And it was basically by the time I was 5, I was full blown Yankees or anything else like that. So, one of my best friends actually jokes with me because My dad grew up a Mets fan, and he said that he was both. And a lot of people in New York, they're a little touchy on the both being Yankees and Mets fan.
Yeah.
And my friends, he's like, no. He wanted you to experience winning, so he made you a Yankees fan, but he's a full-blown Mets fan, if you through and through. So I always joke that he made me a Yankees fan, so this way I wouldn't experience the Mets and being a Mets fan and stuff like that. So I'm glad to be a Yankees fan. I'm probably the biggest one you'll ever meet. So definitely follow it nonstop, even down here in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. They just played Tampa Bay, and those were pretty good games. I know they didn't win them, but now see, in terms of Yankees as as an organization, and obviously there's a lot of money involved in contract signing. And I was reading about how Ben Rice, the kid, gets paid $125,000, and he's hitting home runs and hitting RBIs, and then you have Judge, who obviously has a great record, and he's being paid $40 million, and he doesn't always get up and hit a home run, but obviously they're expecting him to. What do you know about how the players are paid and that type of part of the organization that we don't always hear about, but then when they do contracts, we'll hear about it?
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that I really get into and hearing about. I mean, you don't think about it, but this is part of the economics of it all. When people are like, "Oh, he signed with a team in Texas or a team in Florida over a team in New York or LA," what is he thinking? He can make so much more money in those bigger cities. And it's like, yeah, but he's going to save so much money on taxes. When you're making $150 million in Florida or Texas, it's going to go further for you. And if that's your primary residence, you're not paying the state income taxes that New York and California have. So it's just one of those things where economics does come into play when you're making that much money, and so to speak, where it's like, yeah, I can hit a home run anywhere. You know what? But if I can save a couple $100,000 or a couple of $1 million over the lifetime of my contract, it does come into play. So it is fascinating to me, being kind of a money finance person and a huge sports fan, the things that these guys have to think about on a huge level that's way off the field, that they pay someone to kind of manage for them and take everything in and say, all right, hey, the numbers are the same, but hey, you're going to make this amount of money over 10 years somewhere else than you will here, and kind of the analysis that goes into it.
Right, and even for a lot of musicians, it's the same thing where people will say, "Well, I wonder why they're doing only a certain amount of shows," and a lot of times it's those shows pay the taxes.
Yeah.
And so if you live, if you're an English musician, let's say you're from England, you can, those taxes are like astronomical. So a lot of people leave England to come to America so that they're less taxed on it. But everything always seems to come down to like money and
it is.
how that works out.
You say it. Everything comes down to money. So
So what do you think if the Yankees sign Soto? What do you think they'll have to pay him?
Probably like total contract or per year.
I guess total. Like, how long could they keep him for? Would they keep him forever?
He'll be 26, so I think it's going to have to be a 12 to 15-year deal at probably $55 million or more. So once you start getting up into those numbers, well over almost $600 million. At that point, it's pretty ridiculous. At that point.
Is unbelievable.
But every person that comes up to free agency, whether it's basketball, football, hockey, baseball, whatever sport it is, even soccer, no matter what, whoever's next due, they're getting the new max contract that everybody else was like, nah, that can't be. Nobody can make that much. Well, he'll get it, and then 5 years from now, someone else will come up, and it'll be his turn, and then he'll get the max again. So.
And so what about Volpe? Because he's relatively young, but he's actually signed?
Yeah, so a lot of times with these young guys, they're under control, as it's called, team control for 6 years. The first three, they basically are told, here, this is what you're making. And then the next three, in that six, you basically go to arbitration, which is another business law term that I had to learn about in Nassau Community College, where basically now you get to go and say, hey, this is what I do really well. The team gets to say, hey, this is what you're really bad at.
Yeah.
And we're going to say, we're going to pay you this amount, and he wants X amount over that. And an arbiter, someone listening to the case, says, okay, I pick one or the other based on what the arguments of both sides. So it is a weird system.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird that they get controlled for 6 years. But those 6 years are very pivotal because that's where a team can save some money on a very productive player and make your team better, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's your time to win when you have a bunch of young players on your team. Kind of like, and you mentioned it, the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Very good team. All young guys, all making very low money like Ben Rice.
Yeah.
And now they're able to hopefully surround them with a couple of high-priced people and make the team even better.
Yeah, and it's interesting how, like, your love of sports does play a part in the work that you do, because you can also look at it not just from the spectator point of view, but from like a business point of view, which is really interesting. Do you find that there's like a kind of a constant hustle with many replays, which is really similar to the work that you do in the business field?
What I do, definitely not. I wish I was in that field of going up into the management of any sports team. I would give anything for that. That would be a great job. But,
Yeah.
We'll see where the future holds. Like I said, I'm still young, so definitely still a lot of potential.
You never know.
There.
And there is sort of the, it seems like music and sports and business, it's sort of, there's something that meshes together with a lot of the alum. Everyone has that, we all have these little like hustles that we do on the side, and everything's kind of connected where, you never know how that'll play out in the future. So, some of those things that you're thinking, it could work somehow. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Linda Nadian, and our guest today is Kyle MacKay, class of 2019. So what are some of your future goals that you're working on?
Right now, definitely going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
I never went and got a bachelor's degree after Nassau Community College. I guess partly because of my dad passing, kind of focusing on career stuff like that and working hard. I was always instilled at that. Like I said, first job at 15, my dad dragged me down to the McDonald's locally, so to get my first job. And,
very smart.
So looking back, like I said, I always tell people, I'm like, as a 15-year-old kid, all you want to do is play video games and play sports with your friends. So you're going down kicking and screaming. You're like, I'm never going to work here, stuff like that. And then when you look back on it, 10 years later, 15 years later, you're like, that was probably one of the best things a parent could ever do for you. So
yeah, I agree.
Definitely think it's a great thing for everyone to do. But going forward, definitely want to get my bachelor's degree, hopefully in economics and maybe political science, one of the two. So just try and kind of broaden my horizons. Yeah,
and you said you're teaching in higher ed, or you're teaching business classes?
No. Within Schwab, I do mentor, but just other brokers that we're working with. But that's about it for right now.
Okay. And what is it like working, for that big company? Is that interesting? Or do they mentor you to, make you?
Oh yeah, they have a great culture. Definitely. Finding Schwab was probably one of the better things that's happened in my life. Definitely couldn't ask for a better company to work for.
That's great. So what advice would you give to your younger self, coming into Nassau for the first time, way back when, and now, you've really come a long way. You've experienced being at the radio station and taking classes, and now, you're in a pretty stable career. What would you say to yourself?
At this point, I probably would have gone to school earlier, not just coming into Nassau, but just right out of high school.
Yes.
Maybe just get, even if it was a class, because that's how I started at Nassau actually in 2015, was just with one class, 1 3-credit course. And I was like, you know what, if I started that even a year earlier, everything kind of changes, the domino effect. So everything moves up a year. Where would you be a year ahead from now? And I see myself doing great things. So I would definitely say, don't wait, even if you're not for school like I was.
Yeah.
Just get started. Get your foot in the door. Take one course that sounds fun to you, and you'll never know where it leads you. So,
right. I know. It's sort of like you never know until you kind of get in. Even because the courses are so different. Like you could do a music class, you could do a business class, you could do something in art, and then see where it leads to. And now, what advice would you give to our incoming students, which, those students may not be 17 or 18. They could be 25, they could be 30, they could be 50, and then they're just starting for the first time. What would you tell them?
I guess two things. Network, talk to people, even if it's a class. Like I said, I was definitely not the type of student where I didn't want to be bothered with people. I just wanted to do what I had to do and get out. But you know what? If I didn't talk to Zach that one day on that one course, I wouldn't have gotten into the radio. I would have found my love there. And it probably would have made my college career a little bit more boring, so to speak. So
right, yeah.
Nassau Community College has a lot of things. They got intramural sports. They got the sports talk radio. They've got a lot of different clubs and stuff that you can get into. You never know what you might enjoy. So you got to talk to people, you got to network, and you got to try things.
Yeah, and we were at a conference for the IBS, which is it's a broadcasting conference that Sean Novat, our director, takes us to. And, a lot of the colleges that we were talking to, they didn't even have an alumni association. They may have had a radio station and not an alumni association, but we actually have the radio station and the alumni association, which is very active. And they were all interested in the fact that we do have that up and running. So it's so interesting. And when you were at the station here, did you learn to do the board and do the broadcasting for the sports talk? Is that what you were doing mostly?
Yeah. It started off, I was just kind of another voice on the show once a week. And then as people leave, people graduate, they move on to their 4-year degree or their career after that. I ended up hosting the WHPC Sports Talk, doing the board for the music shows. I loved actually that show almost as much as the sports because I love silly facts.
Yeah.
So being able to do like little breaks in between songs and just kind of give any listener just a little tidbit of something random in the world that's going on. It was fun to do and kind of research those and pull them up. So it was definitely a fun time for sure.
Absolutely. I would like to thank our guest today, Kyle MacKay, class of 2019. How can our listeners contact you?
Well, they can contact me. I'm on basically everything. Kyle MacKay on X. I'm MacKay Radio still. MacKay Radio's 22 on X. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So Kyle MacKay of Claremont, Florida now, rather than Nassau, Long Island.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, thank you for being here today, Kyle. Thanks so much for being a guest. My name is Dr. Linda Nadian, and I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I am a proud alum. Lion Tales is available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information is online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
So what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.